thought we just
That's the best flag.
Please join me as we pledge the Texas flag.
All right.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas.
one state, under God, one indivisible. Until we break away from the 49 oaths.
What was that?
I had that every time.
What was
Indivisible until.
Okay, Madam Vice Chair, you want to call the roll?
Certainly. All right, roll. Ralph Fight.
Here.
Tisha Crowe. Here. Bruce Bishop.
He was here earlier, and he has another committee meeting at this
Okay.
time.
Rolando Garcia.
Here.
Dale Inman.
Here.
Janeria Lewis.
Genera, President.
Janera. Kelly Perry.
Here.
Jeremy Story. Michael Wheeler. David Wiley.
Michael said he would be in the grassroots club, but he,
Coming as
so I kind of count him as. Has everybody got one of the summaries of our 13 winners, our 20 candidates we endorsed, and out of that we had 13 winners. So if I was a batter and I got 13 out of 20, I'd be doing pretty well. I thought what would make it kind of interesting would be if each individual from a different geographical area would kind of talk about what happened in their area. In some of them, I put the presidential results as well to kind of give you a flavor of it. And obviously, South Texas is just incredible what's happening there. So with that lead in, Janeria, you want to give us a report on Nueces County?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, y'all can see it, but so Michael Hunter is in a runoff, and so is Kaylin Paxson. They need, the chair, Carmen Calderon, has asked us if we could please send an email out to the party, do a posting online endorsing these people again, or just reminding people to vote, that they still have our endorsement. They're in a runoff right now. I think it started, it started on the 14th, or that's the election day. So he would like just a little boost on those two right there. And also Carolyn Vaughn, she got the top spot. She won her election. All the school board races, unfortunately, the school boards are in the heavy Democrat area, so unfortunately they lost. Alberto Carrillo, he is a first-time runner against a three-time incumbent, so he did well, but he did lose. Kaylin, again, is in a runoff. The 6th and 7th place finishers, that was really tragic. They had so many people running. There were 10 people running in this race, and these two were on the last page. And placement really hurt them. As you know, you can get a 20% pop just for being in the first position. I bet there's more than a 20% loss just for being in the last two. But anyway, I can tell you, South Texas, we did so well, and Adam Hinojosa, state senator, won against La Mantilla, and she's huge on gambling. Her whole family is heavy into the gambling. They're heavily invested financially and other. And nobody even declared him the winner. He had to declare himself. He just stood up and said, thank you. Got on TV, and finally she's, what's it called, conceded the next day late.
He's very conceited.
Yeah, conceded. They had 12 Hidalgo County, which is part of his area, 12 Hidalgo County precincts just stayed open. They were just open. We don't know what they're doing. 12. And that's a lot for our area. But they had to sit and watch security cameras till 4:30 in the morning to get that victory in. But thank y'all.
Wonderful.
You missed your opportunity to pray. I was going to call on you.
Sorry, I got caught in traffic on the way back.
Okay.
I'm Mark Juker.
Rolando, you want to talk about Harris County?
Sure. We didn't have as many local races, marquee local races this November as we're going to have next May and the following November. But we did endorse in a couple of jurisdictions. One, and I'm going to have to read this. It's the North Harris County Regional Water Authority. And I've actually interviewed candidates going on 2 cycles for this. And Mark Ramsey, who's, I think many of you know, is one of the candidates for this, and he's an engineer, he does a great job of explaining what this body does, but I can't tell you. But it is very important. And this is an interesting dynamic, because I think for most of your races for this November, unless the jurisdiction was running it on their own, they were at the bottom of the ballot at the general election ballot. So unlike an off-year election, 99% of the people going to vote were not going to vote for Corpus Christi mayor or for school board. They were going to vote for president, for senate, whatever. And this is going to be at the bottom of their ballot. And this, Mark Graham told, this is where the party endorsement is so important. Because as people are going to the polls, they're going to vote for Trump. Say, hey, vote for this person, vote for Mark Ramsey at the bottom of your ballot. Just giving out push cards, telling them to make sure the Republicans don't know who the Republican is. So that's where the party endorsement really comes in handy. The other win is in Tomball ISD. We endorsed 2 school board candidates in Tomball ISD, one in an open seat and one against an incumbent. Jennifer Kratke, who's a conservative rock star, was running against an incumbent. Tomball ISD, for those not familiar with Harris, it's in the northwest part of Harris County. It is a very, very Republican community. However, the school board is full of rhinos. And that's what we all find in these heavily Republican areas. The school board is full of these people who tell you, oh, well, this isn't partisan. And all they do is rubber stamp whatever the superintendent puts in front of them. And that's how we get all this crap in the libraries and in the curriculum. Right. And I tell you, the school, Tomball ISD, they are pissed off that our party endorses. They called our county chair, saying, why are you doing this? And and we endorsed some candidates 2 years ago, and they lost. This has been a tough nut to crack, but this year both of them that we endorsed won. So we're making progress. Now, we still got the board, we don't have the board majority yet in Tomball, but we're getting there. Hopefully, we'll do as well as they did in Conroe. But, but Tomball we're making progress. And that's what I was telling them. What's pissing me off the most, these heavily Republican communities, where these Democrats and these liberals, who they will say they're Republican, they get on the school boards. But we're fixing that. So.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you.
Micah, you want to come and tell us what the state party actually did for some of these local candidates that we endorsed?
I'd love to. I appreciate it. Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, speaking to what you were just talking about with the runoff in Nueces, I actually just got off from Carmen earlier, talking to him and telling him how we're excited. We did a text message from the party that went out in support and telling everybody to get out and vote for Paxton and Hunter. We are dropping another mail piece today or tomorrow, but it's been approved. It just went through the process. I've been out there getting that through the process. We've done 2 in the runoff for Hunter and Paxton, so from the party. So that's just going on right now, post general, which is really exciting. But I told Ralph earlier, we spent, and the chairman's going to go into details about a lot of this, but I'll tell you with the down ballot, we spent $3,051,908.18 on down ballot races.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not for nothing, but you look at those, and a lot of this analysis, a lot of those folks that received those dollars, they won, and that's a big win for a small government committee. It's also a big win for just Texas and the RPT's involvement, which is neat to see. And so I was on the phone with so many down ballot race candidates talking to them about stuff, and their enthusiasm, that was really neat to see as well. My favorite part of the experience, other than the fact that now that it's over, I never have to look at another piece of mail for a while, millions of pieces of mail that are going through, it was neat to just see the effect that it did have, that we were able to accomplish. And so the chairman was great to work with, small government, I would get the emails and I would see, what was coming through from you guys and then get connected by a lot of those candidates. Worked with Kratke. We actually got some mail out with her. So we're just excited for the opportunity that we were able to do. And you see the 3 million plus, how it did affect what went on. So a lot of candidates were helped by that. I know we spent a little over $5 million on Ted's mail and media ads, and the chairman's going to go into some details about that. But the down ballots really did get affected by that really well. So anyway.
Anybody have any questions while we got?
You say you spent how much on the very first number you gave?
$3,051,908.18.
And that was for what?
That was just down ballot races.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, where did those funds come from? I know that with Ted, there was some arrangements and things, but with The down ballot races, where did the funds come from?
That was donations that were made to the party. And some of that, I mean, a lot of different places. Money, you know, we only sent money as we had it available. And so, as it was available.
No, yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
implying we sent money we didn't have, I was just
Right, right.
curious.
No,
Do we have a bunch of donors that are really interested in the down ballot races?
we had a lot of donors that wanted to see us succeed on marketing the candidates. Right? They wanted to see that happen. And I think a lot of the folks that were pushing that, you know, were successful in that effort. Honestly, a lot of times, and y'all know this, we'll get a donation, and this is the way, I mean, legally the way it is, you get a donation, you go, okay, how do we want to execute this? So you can execute it on over here or over here, and we went heavy with a lot of marketing for candidates. We were, and the chairman's going to talk about this as well, we were able to make some disbursements to some candidates to help out. We did a lot of work in South Texas. The chairman and I went to South Texas. He went several times. I went twice. We got to McAllen at 4 a.m. We had a 6:30 event in Cameron County. So we did a rally in Cameron, a rally in Willacy. I mean, the enthusiasm level in Willacy was exciting to see. They had a headquarters there for the first time, a Republican Party headquarters there in the first time. We got to be there as they were giving out Trump signs and waving to folks. And then we went over and did a rally in Oasis with Chairman Hunter and Michael and a bunch of the others. And the chairman spoke to them. And so we did stuff in North Texas as well. So the chairman traveled more than I did, but occasionally I would travel with him. We got to see kind of the fruits of our labor in some of those smaller races firsthand, watching people's enthusiasm level. So, yeah.
And what's the number out of what, 14 counties, 12
12
red?
out of 14 border counties.
Yeah,
I mean,
isn't
Starr
that amazing?
County,
Yeah.
Starr County went for Hillary by over 70 something and then flipped the other direction, 2 cycles later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, South Texas, to your credit, and everybody that's working down there, is really a super growth area for the RPT.
Yeah, I mean, Starr County, I think, is a model for just the excitement, that we see, the switch. But the others are as well. I go to Starr County and I'm going, since what, 1892 or something?
Yeah.
Something, somewhere in the 1892,
Yeah.
26, yeah.
Wayne Hamilton had something to do with all that.
Wayne was involved in some of those races, yeah.
Nelson News gave him credit for that victory down there. I don't know, that's all I heard.
I keep up with Wayne a good bit. I mean, we talk from time to time. I know he was consulting on some of that stuff. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't want to take all the credit for any of it because
Yes.
what we did was just a small drop. As boots on the ground are what win the game, right? And that's what we would tell candidates who would call in and we talk to them. How are we going to win this? I said, look, you got to outwork your opponent. I mean, anybody here who's running for SREC knows that if you don't outwork, 3 or 4 people you're running against, if that's the case, then you're probably going to lose. And that's just the way it is. That's what you saw. The real credit goes to the people on the ground. We were just able to come in as the cavalry and hopefully push them over the edge.
Still, $3 million to the local candidates we endorsed is
That's exactly
quite a
right.
credit to the party, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Go ahead.
And all these down ballot candidates are gonna become, some of them will become our state reps, state
Yeah,
senators.
that's right.
Exactly.
Congressmen. So doing this down ballot stuff is making a huge
Powerful.
field team for us.
Yeah, so that's a farm
All
club.
this
Yeah.
stuff
Exactly correct.
being done is just phenomenal.
Which shows the significance of this, this
Yeah.
committee and the effort that the SREC puts into that. And I mean, CRC as well, all that effort that goes into that doesn't really get seen a lot, right, out there in the public eye. Because I talk to people, they don't know about all that stuff that goes on, but it has such an effect for the future. Because if we want a good lieutenant governor one day or a good senator one day, or like you said, these farm teams. So.
And the guy who deserves a lot of credit for this is Rolando, because this committee is really his brainchild. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Oh, she had another
I
question.
just wanted to make a comment. I don't know if you probably already know this, but I'm going to mention a congressional candidate, but it matters because we had our congressional candidate, Myra Flores, 34. She won early voting, she won election day voting, but she lost in the mail-in ballots. So the only reason I mention that is I don't know if she really lost. I can't prove
Yeah.
anything, I'm not looking to, but if she didn't, that means it could have affected our down ballot candidates too. We had one that was doing really well that y'all endorsed in Cameron County for tax assessor. He was just shining bright. His opponent was not liked at all, even by the Democrats, and he did not prevail. So I just wanted to cast a little
Things
suspicion
to
on
look
that.
at. No, I think there's always, I want to say room for improvement, there's room for investigation.
Yes.
Right? You figure out why did we do so well over here and not over here, and there will be times when that happens, but, like Denise Villalobos, she kicked tail down there in her county, you know, but then you had a couple of, like a county over, similar demographic, who had a bit of shift, you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
What was it? So analyzing that and running that is, it behooves us to do that for the future, I think.
Yeah, in Harris County, even as a matter of fact, our district attorney candidate for the Republican Party against a George Soros-funded DA for the Democrats only lost by 1.74%, I believe. So, you know, even in our, had been blue, I think we've gone back to purple at least.
Yes.
And, you know, we're even making progress in the big city, so.
And we did great with judges this time. This was
Yes.
Yeah, we got 9 judges,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
a wonderful thing. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Micah.
it. Thank you all for all.
Thank you.
Kelly, you want to give us another report, but it'll be more on election integrity, huh? Because you're going to talk about Sandy in Maverick County.
So Sandy y'all met earlier, she was one of the speakers in there in election integrity, the woman, wasn't it? Anyway, she ran for school board, they've never had a Republican school board candidate even. And she ran for school board, I was looking at her numbers, I speak to her every day, and I'm looking, she got 10,134. That's actually more than Tony Gonzalez got in the primary.
Well, that's a credit.
That is like really, really good, but their superintendent picks their school board members, and then he pays for them to run.
Goodness gracious.
Wow.
You gotta live within corrupt to see it, to really do it, but which they really are cartel run up there.
What county?
Sorry, Eagle Pass, Maverick County. Maverick County. So there's the tip of the iceberg, and just to throw this out there in case anybody has any connections anywhere. We have some people helping us, and we believe since Trump did so well in Eagle Pass that it's just, we're there. So 4 years ago, or 2 years ago, or whatever, they had a Lincoln Reagan dinner, and Abbott came, and Abbott paid for it. And Abbott has the invitations. And then about 3 or 4 years before that, he did it again. We want those addresses. We need those addresses to develop it. We have a club that's going to go in there and some other stuff, but if anybody has any power to get those addresses, I need them. Because they were still voting 100% blue at that point. We're just now starting, but we've got several that have said they'll go down there. Of course, Abbott will go, he's been there many times, but in Paxton, I mean, all of them have said they'll help us. They'll help us with that area, but it is, what Sandy did was actually put a target on her back for local.
Yeah, well, of course, Eagle Pass has been quite in the news during the Biden administration because I guess that must have been one section of the wall that was never completed or whatever.
They're
It's-
major, they're still having really a lot of trouble with
Yeah.
the kids.
So hopefully that'll get some immediate focus when he takes office. But thank you for your report. Save the best for last. Dale, you want to tell us about the great results in Montgomery County?
And by that, he means results, not speaker. Just to be clear. Yeah, we did fantastic. Of, I think the 13 wins, I think we had like 8, if we count Jennifer, I think it was 8 or 9. I've known Jennifer for years. Her dad's a member of the church, he's a pastor, or father-in-law, I should say. And she is a bishop. So praise the Lord for that. You know, we had really good results. You know, 8 years ago, I ran for Conroe School Board, and I told people schools are going to be the next big giant fight in Texas. And no one believed me. And then I think 4 years ago, I sent out 5,000 emails. I couldn't get a single person to run. And so I got very focused on recruiting candidates and fielding events and talking to people. And Steve Coke was helping me a lot, and we recruited people. I believe now, Conroe ISD, I think the 5th or 6th largest school district in Texas, I think about 74,000 students. They have 7 solid Christian conservative women. I think it's the first board in Texas. When I was there with 7 men, now with 7 women, just in 6 years, the mama bears. And we recruited all 7, they're all solid, and we just won the 4, which is good, because even if they pick us off the next 2-year cycle, most of them gets 3, even if they get all 3.
Exactly.
What I would encourage was, I guess it was Mike that said boots on the ground. That's really what was the focus was, is 2 chairmen ago, he refused letting us get involved in what's nonpartisan. And I go to the Democrat headquarters and walk in off the street and analyze what they're doing. And they had a board probably as big as that screen with all the races in Montgomery County, who they're fielding, all the school board, all the nonpartisan stamping letter. They had a machine. Well, you're gonna lose when the Democrats have the machine and your Republican chairman says, we're not gonna get involved in those races. And that's what happened in Montgomery County. Everyone was a Republican. They had an R next to their name, I should say. Not everyone was Republican.
Right.
And then, because they say I'm Republican, so we had, Gwen's here too, we had so many people say, thank you so much for that brochure that said the official Montgomery County Republican Party recommends these candidates. Because our immediate previous chair, you know, his wife has a PAC, and they actually fielded someone against Steve Toth and endorsed against Steve Toth, the chairman's wife of Montgomery County, the Republican chairman's wife of the party. His wife has a PAC, and it was a nice lady, Maris Blair, nice lady. But they went against Steve Toth, and they're like, oh, we're Republicans. And so then he wouldn't let us endorse the nonpartisan, but they did. He actually ran against, he stood right next to me. My chairman passed out when I ran for school board for the other person. You know, it's a Democrat. She got thrown out this last time. She quit. But I thought, how are you going to have the chairman of the party stand right against someone right next to him and they're passing out the lines of the voting? Don't vote for him. I'm the chairman of the party.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But Matt Rinaldi asked me before when he was still chair, the other guy was, I won't even say his name. He said, if the other guy wins, what happens? I said, 2 more years of hostility. He said, what if Gwen wins? I said, within 3 months, we will run the county. It'll be the strongest county in Texas. And that's exactly what happened. So I think a lot of it goes to Gwen's leadership. We changed the rules that we can endorse in the partisan, because before our rules said we can't. The other chairmans had it where they couldn't endorse in nonpartisan. So we endorsed, and if you notice there, my wife, I think next to Craig Iser, do y'all know Rob Iser? Used to be HD 15 where Steve Toth is now. That's his son Craig Iser, we got his endorsement for the Woodlands Township. My wife's on the hospital district. She had 77% of the vote win. I think it was like 42,000 to 10,000. And of course, if she had not been my wife, people were saying she might have got 50 or 60,000.
Yeah.
You know, I was the lead balloon on the ticket with the last name. But every single one that we endorsed, and some of these, Nicole May, Lindsay Dawson, Melissa, and Mary Ann Horton, those school boards, the 4 school boards we put on, every one of them, 2 of them came to me in tears saying, without the party support, we could have never won. Every event we were at, you guys showed up en masse, you supported us. When the other side would land-based us, you guys, so back to Micah's point, boots on the ground.
Yeah, and some of those where their votes were in the 40s, it might have meant there were 3 or 4 candidates in the race.
Right, yeah.
So
And their
they still
plurality-
won, yeah.
Their plurality, yes, so all of them won.
Yeah.
And they did have multiple, I think one race had 4, then 2 had 3, and then 1 had 2.
Yeah.
But I know if you look at it from 2 cycles ago, this cycle, our people got between 40 and 60,000, and the other side, I think one was as low as 7,500 generals, might be a good guy. It was between 7,000 and about 30. So we beat them by 20, 30,000 votes too. Even though man would say 40%, there was multiple people. So I thought it was real strong, and they flat said having a party endorsement was incredibly big in this race. And again, just with that down ballot, we did a Lincoln Reagan dinner, and you know, we raised some money. We had the brochures printed. We did 80% of them, or 85%, I think, in early voting. We mailed them. I think we raised right at 125, I think, something like that. And then after spending, we had about 80. So it was getting the information to the voters, raising the money. So it is, I keep going back to boots on the ground. It's raising the money, get your endorsements, get the information to the voters before they vote, early voting. We did 1Rs. We hit the 1Rs for hard. We said the 2 and 3 and 4 are going to show up. And interestingly, I would encourage you, especially if you get, Orlando helped me quite a bit too. I had a couple questions you might remember. The school board race, we had a couple people that said, I'm Republican. We had a staunchly radical Democrat that voted Republican in the last primary, Dayton Williams, and said, I'm a Republican because look how I voted. It's like, yeah, but look at all your history, your 20-year history, who you give to, which primaries you voted in until this one last one. So we created a list of criteria, And I think we put in there something like, and other information, because it's hard to really get a list of 5 things determined. We just determined which was the best Republican. And then we supported them. There's some frustration in that in the Steve will have some. Well, my best
It's
friend is
important to
a
note that since counties, and we've seen this in Harris County, that the other side is aware of our process and they try to game it, because you will have these people, like a board member who never voted in the primary before, they will vote in the primary the year before they're up for reelection.
Right.
They know what's going on and they're afraid of the party endorsing a challenger.
Yeah.
So they're noticing what we're doing.
Well, we put in our bylaws, it says something like, we have a committee like this at the local level, and we put in there, there's a range of criteria we use. It's not just voting, it's who you give money to, who gives you money, who you support, and like a couple of them, because they were on the Democrat slate, but they said they were Republicans, you're running with Republicans, and the moment you went on Facebook and put that Democrat's picture, you became a Democrat. If you endorse a Democrat, you're a Democrat. They didn't like it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and Rolando, I think you made a good point there. It's so important at the local level to do the proper screening to separate this Republican from this Republican, because I know many times in Harris County, y'all have faced having several with an R behind their name, but you've got to screen and decide which one is really the true conservative candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's from the very beginning of this committee, people have always asked me, well, what if 2 people could we endorse? I said, well, yeah, you can, that's up to the county party. I mean, there's gonna be some races where that, well, they're both Republicans and the precinct chair supporting both candidates, so we won't endorse. But there's other races where, yeah, it's clear, where one candidate may claim to be Republican,
yeah.
but they're obviously not. So, I'm a big fan of making sure county parties have that discretion to make those decisions.
Yeah. So, Jeremy or Dave, any of you, or Tisha, we didn't endorse any local candidates in your area, but you want to make any comments about, what local race opportunities you think might be in your areas? Jeremy, any thoughts?
You mean, one second. Sorry, allergies today. So you mean in the future or this?
Yeah, in the future.
Yeah, I think in Williamson County, Round Rock is a lost cause, Round Rock IC right now, because the third of it is in Travis County. And the other part that's in Round Rock is, of course, the least conservative part of Williamson County. Williamson County is exceedingly 50-50, and 50-50 is the conservative part is the northern side. The southern side where Round Rock is the other 50. So you combine that being meaning the more progressive liberal part, the south, with Travis County, Round Rock ISD, we've got, but Leander ISD is probably a good one for us, where we have made some progress and actually picked up.
But I was
some
thinking
seats.
more maybe in an area like Bastrop or.
Bastrop, there is going to be, we picked up 2 seats last time, predominantly because of some of the people that are connected to the church that I lead, and are kind of able to do that. So we picked up 2 seats last time, and this next time there's going to be an opportunity to at least pick up 1 more. So within this election or next one, we'll have the majority on the school board. So in Bastrop, there would be a great opportunity. A local pastor is going to run,
Yep.
and he will be supported by all the right folks to win. And so if we want to go with that, we could pick up another seat in Bastrop. So Leander, Bastrop, there's a couple places there I think that we could win in ST5. In terms of Bell and some of the other counties, I need to consult with some of the other folks like Susan and others to figure out what's going on up there. Brenham, I was just speaking with a guy who I know is going to run for school board in the Brenham area, who I believe is a strong conservative. Speaking with him yesterday, and we could have a great opportunity to endorse him as well. Yeah,
Okay.
so we might be able to pick up one in Brenham too.
Sounds good. Dave, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, I think that it's incumbent upon us here at RPT to reach out to the county partners. Even though North Texas, Collin County, Denton County, Tarrant County are known as heavy red Republican counties, your school boards and everything else are still just not, traditionally, on our side yet. They may all say that they vote Republican, but you've got this question about, why are they spending $1 billion bond package if they're so conservative? And so our local county partners, as a state party, we need to reach out to them and let them know about the resources that can be available, how we can help the county parties do what they need to do to work with their municipalities to get these strong, like-minded candidates at both the county and city councils as well as the school boards. And it's coming up right now. I know we had a lot of fortunate to have a lot of these elections during the general election when everybody was watching, but the filing period for local school boards and city councils opens very soon, usually on January 1st for May election. And coming up with candidates before the filing period opens is important. So every county party should be looking to reach into the different communities in their county and come up with the people that can run in the positions that need to be filled. And honestly, I don't think that very many county parties are hearing from us right now.
I think it might be helpful, because I think y'all did send out the information in the RPT's email to county chairs.
I was thinking, yeah, if we send this to the county chairs, that might, what Dave was just saying, and I put together a mailing list when I first got this assignment, and so I do have a mailing list of all the county chairs, and so it might be a good idea to follow up and send this out and get their juices flowing and thinking of what might happen in their area if they, use the future endorsement.
Thinking ahead's really important. I mean, it seems like where we lose a lot of times is the progressive or the Democrat side will field one candidate, and then we'll field two or maybe three, and then those two or three vie for the same vote, and then the Democrat wins. We need to, if we can think ahead and kind of lay the pathway for one candidate, then we're going to win more of these elections.
Yeah. Dale, you had something else?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, my county chair's here. But I'm encouraged, what I did, I went to our local Montgomery County elections, and I looked at, like 2 years ago, that cycle. And I put just a list of all the positions that'll be on the ballot in 25, those municipal stuff, and I put down who's in there now, and then if they need replacing or not. But that's kind of, because I used to think, man, I'd love to be foresight and thinking, but I don't know what's on the May ballot in 2025. Well, and then and I called the election administrator, do you have a ballot? Well, not yet. And I thought, well, I'll just look at the one last cycle, it'll be the same people coming up. So we just started getting that list of names of who's there, is that a good person we support, or do we need to look? Because then you start narrowing it down, you start getting quantifiable data you can work with versus, we need to think ahead. Which you do, but that's like, you don't know where to start. That's where I started, was just who's coming up. So I've got the 25 and 26 who in our county is all coming up. And look, who we need to start making the D league, developmental league to bring them up.
And it's a great idea. But I think that as we're communicating with the county parties, we need to remind them that we can't act on the state party side until they act on their side.
Right.
You can't very well come in and analyze your elected officials and determine for you who needs to, and then convince your executive committee to come up with people they're supporting and to ask us for our support.
Right.
They need to do their work so that then we can throw in and support them.
I don't think they know how to do the work though.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think that you need to kind of walk them through. You should be looking now for who's on your main ballot. And as I said, my county chair's here, which is lucky, but you go back to your county chairs and say, the main ballot, you have people you're looking for right now.
Yeah.
Who are they? Give me a
It is
name.
not easy to find those names.
It's not. That's why you go to 2 cycles ago with the ballot, look at what offices are open.
Yep.
Because you're right, you don't know where to start. But that's where I kind of started was, well, we know what the ballot's gonna look like, at least the positions. Who's in them, what kind of job are they doing, do we need to recruit? But I don't think that most counties know where to start at that level. You just, well, we'll see by the deadline who files.
Who shows up?
And once whoever files, then we'll figure out who we're gonna back.
Yeah, so it's reactive, right?
It's reactive.
Proactive.
Proactive is you gotta find the people before filing.
Well, I'd be willing to commit to do that in my, I mean, I don't know if we can convince the whole SREC, but we can at least do it on this committee, right?
Well, we
I'll
should
pledge to
do
do it
it.
in SC,
Yeah, be that
SC5.
own,
Yeah,
or own, you know.
that's great, I love the idea, let's get it, we can work together on that.
And Tisha, maybe you can give us the Midland Odessa report. You know, I would think in your area, it might be more of a challenge to distinguish between a Republican rhino and a Republican conservative.
That's just it.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, because everybody out there is red ostensibly, you know, everybody has an R behind their name. And so it gets a lot harder, because then it's, well, I go to church with them. Well, they live down the block. Well, there's always a reason. And it is, I bank with them, you know, and it makes it really challenging then to find people who want to run, because they know they're always going to be paired against their neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
The person that they go to church with or whatever it is, even if they know they may not, that other person may not be in the right, you're talking about the court of public opinion at that point, and it's challenging, and it's more challenging, honestly, in a lot of ways, than finding somebody when it's red and blue.
Yeah. So, having been at Ted Cruz's election party this year, when the race was called at like 9 p.m., it was such a relief from 6 years ago, when I remember we were waiting for your votes to come in Lubbock and West Texas and so forth, to very, you know, narrowly pull him over the line with Beto O'Rourke. So it was such a wonderful election to have a race like that called statewide at 9 p.m. I think it was, about an hour before news time even. So, you know, what a great miracle we had this time in January. I've seen data already that there are like 4 House races in South Texas where the Trump vote was so substantial, they think that there's, you know, opportunities for further House seat pickups there, so.
The negative is that our county did turn red, that's a positive. But it's a shame that did not translate to everybody else. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that you just want Trump. And what she's saying is very true. Like, where we are, it's people went to school with and were buddies with Democrats, and the Republicans will support them because he's my friend. Like, he doesn't even see your vote. You can quietly vote Republican and nobody knows about it. But to what Tisha said, I'm in a small town. It's a very nice town, and everybody wants to be in charge. And my opponent was a horrible liberal guy who's a retired assistant FBI director, and he lived right across the Resaca from me. And I had to look at his backyard every day. And I had to run against that guy because he was the worst one in town. He actually had a victory party right across from me with everybody showing up the night he lost.
All right.
But so to her point is, and to everybody in here, I'm finding the toughest part about running for office is everybody has these great ideas when they go to get elected or to run, but they don't have spines. They don't understand the heat they're going to come up against. It is hard to find somebody, number one, willing to run, and number two, if you to stand up to the fire, and it's hard. So I think when we recruit people, if you just give them a heads up that it's not all fun and shaking hands, if they can just expect that they're going to be sabotaged and lied about, they handle it a lot better after you get them to agree to run, of course. They'll handle it a lot better. And that's
Yeah, and another resource that the state party has is that they can mail at a lower postage rate. So that's a advantage for local endorsements that we make. So that's something that you might tell them.
Something about that. I understood that that's where we got, where we got in trouble with Brandon and Tony's race.
If I can, I'm not an I don't know much about this, I'm really totally talking out of my ass here. It's different with federal races.
Is it?
There's some different trigger, like, yeah, it's different. It's different in how you have to say it, and to the extent that the party can do mail on behalf of the candidate. I think there's some extra hoops on a federal race, because on state races we do it all the time. It's not a problem. Well, I don't want we're being recorded, so I don't want Jim to get upset with me. But with state races, there's much less
Red tape.
red tape about that. Oh, and including nonpartisan races. So doing the mail for state races, state rep or school board, that's uncommon. But I think we got into trouble because of there's some extra federal red tape that was involved with the CD23 race.
So who decides on that money that the party is paying for those mail-outs?
That,
Does this committee?
I don't want to, we're being live streamed, so I don't want to say, but it's passed through. It's passed through.
Right.
And, and but with federal, we have to be careful in how we phrase that. But another, like for county parties, for example, many county parties, and as well as candidates, will simply, they say they're doing a $500,000 mail piece, and they want to take advantage of our lower mail rate. So, you'll see it on finance reports. Harris County Republican Party gives $500,000 to RPT, and RPT does a mailer that happens to cost $500,000. Okay? So it's passed through, but Harris County Republican Party saves money because depending on the vendor, depending on the mail, and depending on how big we're sending it, I've heard different numbers, but generally it's going to be about 30 to 40% less than if you were just doing if the campaign or the county party was sending that mail on their own. So when they can send it through our bulk mail rate, they'll save roughly 30 to 40%. And that's why so many county parties and state candidates do choose to send their mail through RPT.
Gwen, you're here in the back there, and you're the chair of Montgomery County. Do you want to make any comments on the election and on any future opportunities you see in your county?
Well, I sure was pleased, I want to say that. But I also already talked to the chair of our committee that does the vetting, and I had told him, our endorsement means something now, and I want to keep it that way. I want it to be that if we endorse, that everybody starts quaking in their boots because they know we're coming. Because so I want them to be careful with who they vet. I've already asked them, and I know Dale's already working on it. We're working on who we're going to endorse in May, and I want us to be very careful with our vetting because I don't want to make any mistakes, and I'd rather that we not endorse them if we're kind of quaky about them. There's two that appears to be really strong, equal Republicans. I'd rather we just stay out of it. But if we can endorse them and they fit all the criteria, like I said, I want the other side scared to death. So
Yeah, well,
I think we have proved that if our party endorses you, we had a clean slate. Every candidate that we endorsed, everything that was on our ticket, we won.
Yeah, well, the four ladies that you had for Conroe ISD, I thought were just top of the line, and they were, it was a pleasure getting to know and meet them and know these were the people we were endorsing.
They were outstanding candidates. They had a true mission, a true heart for doing what they needed to do, and I believe we'll see them down the road.
Yeah.
I think they'll be, when they get finished their work at the school board, I believe we'll see a couple of them down the road in other races, and they are outstanding candidates.
Yeah. Anybody else before we adjourn?
Can I ask about something? So, I'm sure it's different in all areas of the state, but you had mentioned Project Red. We've had problems in, is there a better way that we can work with them? Because they kind of get towards the end and just start beating our person. Like, okay, will you run? We'll pay for it. Will you run? The people don't have a clue what they're doing. And we have had towns where we are that are divided because of this. I have people saying, oh, well, I need them to vote Republican, but they had a person. And I gotta say, we didn't have a person, so they did better than we did, at least they found somebody. But that person had a record. And that person that they ran against that county judge had a the child, he had a child that was removed from his home. They didn't check that. They ran him as a Republican in a town that we're trying to get people to go more Republican. And, you know, I had people say, I'm sorry, Kelly, I know, but we're not voting for him. We're just not voting for him. So I know that there's areas that, I have seen where they come in and they're willing to pay, but they're throwing somebody else in there where I have 2 Republicans now instead of 1. And then I end up with it divided and have a Democrat win.
Yeah.
You know, there's different, I just wish there's some way we could work all that out with them. If they want to throw money and pay for everything, that's great. I just wish that they had, I mean, they're the same way we are, where we can't get people to run, right? In certain areas, you're not gonna get people. So I don't know if a person running anybody is better than no one at all. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, well, we, of course, have to start at the local party level, and, we sent out a mailer to, or an email to all the party chairs when we started this election cycle. So like we said, we'll reach out again with the actual results, and, maybe this will spur some more thought, but we don't want to get inundated with, poor candidates that have received a local endorsement. So it's a delicate balance. Yeah, Jeremy?
I think she raises a really good point, and so did you, Generia, as well. I wonder if, from what we control, what we're endorsing,
Yeah.
if we might should, as a committee, say, okay, we're gonna start running some degree of small background check before we officially endorse someone, just because it affects the brand, if you will. And then, secondly, when we do vet people, back to your question, because y'all are hitting on some similar notes, that one of our questions we sort of mandatorily, I think, ask, or should, if we don't already, is, because I ask this of candidates too, just personally, tell me a time when you have faced significant opposition and pressed against it successfully. I think those 2 things address what they're saying. As far as when we make endorsements here, and if someone can't tell us or doesn't really seem to be able to have a backbone, but they have all the right ideas, we need to be a little more careful. And then secondly, the vetting situation, if we were to run a cheap background check, we would avoid an embarrassment if we, as the RPT, make an endorsement.
Yeah, at our first meeting, I said, is there anybody that's a real, kind of techie expert, check Facebook pages,
Well,
those
there
kind
are,
of things.
background check services.
And,
that for
yeah,
$20
yeah,
we can
and
run
so
on any
that's
person.
probably a good idea to get a background service or something.
Could we ask
Do we-
them to do that?
We would,
Yeah, we could mandate for local parties.
we've been relying on the local parties to at least be our initial vetters.
Are doing vetting, but, they may not be. And this is just my attitude, I mean, y'all may have different views. My attitude has always been, if the county party endorses them, I'll endorse them, unless there's a reason not to. Unless someone tells me, wait a minute, like, they endorse this guy, but it turns out that there's something, in his background, or, so my attitude is if the county endorses, we should endorse too, unless there's a specific reason not to. But I mean, it's not to say we can't do that. I just want, as long as it doesn't, the vetting doesn't become too onerous, because, we're on tight deadlines. Because, especially on the mail issue, in order to take advantage of our, for those who want to take advantage of our mail rate, they need sufficient lead time. So, we want the county's endorsement, or we want to do our endorsement in a timely manner. So, we're not saying we can't do additional vetting, we just, need to be careful that it doesn't slow down the process too much.
You had a comment?
Yeah, we did a major vetting process in my county, and we lost 80% of the candidates that ran. And there's a lot of people that don't want to do it again. And I don't know where to go from there. But it really, it burned bad. So it's something to think about.
Yeah.
And also, on the last meeting we had, I think, yeah, there was a thing on endorsement originating from the precinct chair of the particular jurisdiction. Did that come up?
Oh, well, no, Well, again, each county party can do their process differently. In Harris County, in order for the county, before the county party can even consider you, you have to be recommended by a precinct chair in that jurisdiction.
That's what I'm, so that's only Harris.
Well, that's what we do in Harris. I don't know what they do or don't do in other counties.
Okay, are we ready to adjourn? Okay, thank you, everybody, for your participation.